Stop. That line is mine. Stop interfering. Keep cutting. Show me the permit. Show me the permit. You were told to stay back. This is my land. Not today. Who signed it? It's approved. Finish the job. Then read the number. Look away. Don't get involved. Can I make one phone call? Cut it! Every word is still yours after you say it.
Sir, please step toward the vehicle.
Get rid of that fence now!
The bolt cutters bit into my fence while the officer held my wrists behind my back. "Stop interfering," he said, as if the land under his boots had already chosen a side. Across the gravel road, the lake glittered through the fresh gap they had wanted for years. Who gets handcuffed for protecting his own home? Who signs a permit that never existed? And why did every neighbor suddenly look away when I asked for one phone call? They thought I was a tired black handyman with no lawyer, no power, and no witness. By sunset, one quiet recording would reach a desk no one in that town expected, and the view they stole would cost them more than money. The bolt cutters snapped again, sharp as bone in the cold morning air, and another slat of Marcus Hale's fence dropped into the wet grass. "Stop," he said. Not loud, just enough to carry across the gravel. "That line is inside my property." Lieutenant Wade Brennan kept one hand on Marcus's wrist and didn't look at him. "You've already been told to stay back." "I've been told," Marcus said, "not shown." Across the road, the lake flashed silver through the opening they had made. Tyler Sloan, the foreman, shifted his boots in the mud and glanced toward the Whitcombs' driveway before raising the cutters again. Behind him, Grant Whitcomb stood with his hands in the pockets of a quilted vest, jaw set, while Lydia held dark glasses in one hand, as if this were something she only needed to watch, not own. "Cut it," Grant said. Mrs. Bell had come as far as her mailbox in slippers and a wool cardigan. Two other neighbors stood behind her, silent, arms folded against the chill. Nobody crossed the ditch. Marcus turned his head, following the sound of wood splitting. "Lieutenant, I asked for the permit." Brennan finally faced him. "And I told you these men are authorized to do the work." "By whom?" "That's enough." The metal of the cuffs bit colder when Brennan tightened his grip. Marcus let the pain pass through his shoulders without giving it a place on his face. The smell of lake water and cut cedar drifted up from the broken boards. On the hood of his old pickup, under a folded survey map, sat the framed photograph of Grace he had taken out that morning to clean the dust from the glass. A breeze pushed the corner of the map loose. "Tyler," Marcus said, keeping his eyes on the truck, "before you take the next panel, move that frame off the hood." Tyler hesitated. "I'm not touching your stuff." "It'll fall." Grant laughed once through his nose. "He's worried about a picture while blocking a legal job." Marcus looked at him then. "You've wanted that gap for years." Grant's chin lifted. "What I want is my business." "And other people's shorelines usually are." Brennan stepped closer. "You want to spend the morning arguing, or you want to cooperate?" "I want you to read the parcel number." For a moment, the only answer was the click-click of the cutters opening and closing. Lydia's gaze shifted to the rolled papers on the truck. Caleb Dunn, the youngest worker, wiped his palms on his jeans and watched Marcus with the uneasy stare of someone who had expected shouting and found restraint instead. Mrs. Bell called from the roadside, voice thin but clear. "That fence was there when Grace was alive." Grant didn't even turn. "Stay out of it, Evelyn." She did. Her mouth closed. One of the neighbors lowered his eyes to the gravel. Brennan removed a folded sheet from his jacket and lifted it just high enough for Marcus to see a stamp, not high enough to read the line items. "Satisfied?" "No." "Then here's what happens next," Brennan said. "You step away from the crew, or I place you in the car while they finish." Marcus held still. The cuffs pressed against bone. Behind the truck's windshield, his phone lit with Naomi's name and went dark again. He watched the gap in the fence widen by another board. Water showed through it now, open and bright, exactly the view the Whitcombs had paid contractors to imagine. "Marcus," Lydia said suddenly, quieter than the others, "this doesn't have to become a scene." "It became one," he said, "when you arrived with cutters instead of papers." Tyler swallowed. Caleb looked down at his own phone, then slipped it back into his pocket. Brennan took Marcus by the elbow and guided him toward the cruiser. Gravel crunched under their shoes. As Marcus bent to clear the doorframe, something small and hard pressed against his ribs inside his jacket, the recorder still running, catching the lake, the voices, and one more clean metallic snap behind him. At 6:45 a.m., the back gate gave a rusty squeal, and Marcus Hale held it still until the sound died over the lake. "Still complaining?" Naomi asked through the phone on the porch rail. "It has earned the right," Marcus said. "This gate was here before you were." Mom said everything in that house was older than everybody. The morning smelled of damp pine, coffee, and cold iron. Through the screen door, Grace's photograph stood beside the sugar bowl, her smile caught in a summer that had not changed. "You're still coming Friday?" he asked. "If the bus doesn't break down, and don't move heavy things. I'm tightening 2 screws. Dad. 3 at most." Her laugh thinned when a gust moved across the water. Marcus looked past the vegetable beds. Something orange flickered between the cedar posts. "Hold on. What is it?" He walked down the narrow path, boots brushing wet grass. 3 survey flags had been pushed into the soil on his side. Fresh boot prints marked the mud near the bank, the tread packed with pale gravel from the Whitcombs' drive. "Dad?" "Someone marked the south line." "Your line?" "My side of it." Naomi went quiet. "Call the county." "I will. And call me back." "I will do that too." "Don't do the quiet thing." Marcus pulled one flag halfway up, then stopped. The hole it left was clean and dark. "The quiet thing keeps me from saying expensive words." "Then use cheap ones. Like no." He tucked the phone against his shoulder. "No. That was for them, not me." Inside, he spread the yellowed survey across the kitchen table. Grace had written Cedar Line, "Do not move" in blue ink near the bottom. He placed her photograph on top so the paper would not curl. The glass frame clicked against the wood. The landline rang. Marcus answered on the second sharp ring. "Hale residence." No greeting came, only road noise and a man breathing through his nose. "You need to let the improvement happen." Marcus kept his eyes on Grace's handwriting. "Who is this?" "A neighbor." "My neighbors use names." "You're standing in the way of something already approved." "Approved by which office?" Tires hummed over wet pavement. "Old men should know when a town is changing." Marcus folded the survey once. "Then the town can put that in writing." The call ended. He held the receiver until the dial tone buzzed flat. Outside, a door slammed across the road. Marcus lifted the curtain and saw Grant Whitcomb near his driveway, speaking to a man in a work vest beside a white utility truck. Grant pointed toward the lake. Naomi called back before Marcus could dial her. "Tell me," she said, Orange flags, boot prints, a phone call. I don't like that list. Neither do I. Promise me you won't meet them alone. Marcus looked at the photograph. Grace had worn a straw hat, laughing before the shutter clicked. He set it back on the survey, weighing down the corner. I'll start with the county office, he said. That wasn't a promise. It was the next right step. Outside, another flag snapped like a tiny warning bell. Marcus picked up his keys, the folded survey, and the envelope with Grace's name on it. When he opened the door, the wind lifted the photograph just enough to show the line underneath. At 7:18 a.m., Grant Whitcomb stood on his rear porch, framing a view that did not yet belong to him. Right there, he said. Once that fence is gone, you see the whole bend of the lake. Tyler Sloan, 31, broad-shouldered and red-eared from the cold, squinted past the cedars. You said the owner signed access? The county approved access. That's not the same sentence. Lydia Whitcomb came through the glass door with a folder and a paper cup of coffee, her gray scarf tied tight. We start with correct documents, she said. The cup left a wet ring across the page. The shoreline permit covers our lot. And the sightline obstruction, Grant said. That phrase is from your proposal, not the permit. Tyler rubbed his jaw. I can clear brush on your side. I can't cut another man's fence because somebody used a pretty phrase. Grant's smile tightened. You want the job or not? A cruiser rolled up without lights. Lieutenant Wade Brennan stepped out, 45, square-faced, uniform pressed at sleeves. Morning, Grant called. Coffee? 10 minutes, Brennan said. Lydia looked from the cruiser to Grant. You invited him? I asked for clarity. Brennan accepted the cup Grant handed him and set it on the folder. The ring widened under it. That Hale place? Brennan asked. Old property, Grant said. Bad maintenance. Worse attitude. He owns it, Lydia said. Brennan read only the bold heading beneath his cup. If the crew works under a county permit and he interferes, I can keep the peace. Keep it how? Tyler asked. Separate the parties. Temporarily detain if needed. From the side garden, Evelyn Bell froze with pruning shears in one hand. 72, thin as a rail in a green cardigan, she had come to cut dead roses. Grant lowered his voice. Investors come next month. They don't want a patched fence and a jungle. Brennan gave a short laugh. Show the paper. Ask him to step aside. If he refuses, call me. And if he starts quoting lines, he can quote them from my back seat. Lydia's fingers closed on the folder. Wade. Mrs. Bell's shears stopped against a stem. Brennan looked at Lydia. I'm saying what policy allows. No, you're saying what Grant wants to hear. The porch heater clicked on with a dry pop. Warm air stirred coffee and damp leaves. I need a full copy before my guys touch anything, Tyler said. Grant peeled one page from the folder. All of it. Brennan checked his watch. You contractors always this delicate. When fences get cut wrong, Tyler said, the lawsuit finds the saw. Grant snatched up the folder, leaving the wet ring to smear across the approval stamp. Mrs. Bell backed from the hedge, but her heel crushed a branch. All four heads turned. Evelyn, Lydia called. Roses, Mrs. Bell said, raising the shears. They don't prune themselves. Grant stepped to the rail. Private conversation. Then use inside voices. Brennan stared. Ma'am, head home. I will. She did not move. Her eyes went to the old fence, then the stained folder in Grant's hand. Across the road, Marcus Hale's truck started. Gravel popped. Call me when he comes back, Brennan said. Lydia folded the damp top page inward before anyone could read the parcel number. The county records office smelled of toner, damp coats, and floor wax when Marcus stepped under the lights at 8:06 a.m. A clerk looked up. "Can I help you?" "I need the shoreline work permit for Whitcomb property on Cedar Lake." Her badge read Jenna Ortiz, 27, silver pen behind one ear, tired eyes moving fast. "Parcel number?" Marcus unfolded the survey. "Mine is 14-7C. The work seems aimed at my south fence." She glanced at his boots. "Are you the contractor?" "No." "Property manager?" "Owner." Her fingers paused. "For the Hale parcel?" "Yes, ma'am." She typed. Behind her, a printer woke with a grinding cough. Rain ticked on the glass door. "There is a permit," Jenna said. "Shoreline visibility improvement. Applicant, Grant Whitcomb." "Visibility is not a boundary." "No, sir," she scrolled. "But the attachment says fence removal along obstructed lake view." Marcus set Grace's brass keyring beside the survey. "May I see it?" "It's public record. Copies are 10 cents a page." "I'll pay." The top page came warm into his hands. He read the parcel number twice. "This says 14-7G. "That's Whitcomb." "The drawing shows my fence." Her face tightened. "That's not supposed to happen." From a side office, a man called, "Jenna, line 2. 1 minute." She lowered her voice. "Mr. Hale, I can stamp this as received for review." "I'm not asking for a favor." "I know. The file doesn't match itself." Marcus photographed the permit log before she slid it back. "County policy says no photos of active logs," she whispered. "Then county policy can tell me in writing." His phone vibrated. Unknown number. He stepped into the hall. "Hale residence." The same rough breath filled his ear. "You went downtown." Marcus looked through the glass at Jenna, pale by the printer. "You're watching my errands? You're making this harder than it has to be. Put your name on that sentence." A short laugh. "Don't interfere with people who can improve the street. Then spend one morning on correct paperwork." The line clicked dead. A vent blew cold air across Marcus's cuffs. His fingers missed the fold once, then fixed it. Jenna came out with a blue stamp. "Was that about the file?" "It was about silence. I can email a copy to the county attorney. From your system, not mine." "Why?" "People erase what embarrasses them." The stamp struck the page. Received 8:19 a.m. Jenna wrote her initials. There was an amendment uploaded last night. No fee entry. No countersignature. By whom? I can't see. Can someone else? My supervisor. Is he here? She glanced toward the side office. He golfs with Mr. Whitcomb. Marcus slid the stamped copy into the envelope with Grace's name on it. For 1 second, the corner of her photograph showed between the folds, straw hat, and sunlight. He pushed it deeper into his inside pocket. Outside, a white utility truck rolled past the window toward Cedar Lake. Jenna saw it too. "Mr. Hale," she said, voice barely above the printer hum. "If they start today, call someone before you stand there." Marcus picked up his keys. "I did. Who?" He did not answer. The fresh blue stamp bled into the paper, as if the county itself had not waited long enough to dry. The red and white tape was stretched across Marcus's gate when he turned off the county road. It sagged in the middle, caught on the rusted mailbox Grace had painted green years ago. The tape snapped in the wind, plastic against metal. Tyler Sloan stood near the fence with 2 workers and plans. Caleb Dunn held a post puller. Still, Marcus stepped out with the stamped copy. "Who placed that on my gate?" Tyler looked toward the Whitcomb house. "County job marker." "That is my access. It's temporary." "Temporary things still need permission." Grant Whitcomb crossed the road in polished boots. "Mr. Hale, You went downtown. Then you know this has been approved. Marcus unfolded the copy. This permit lists your parcel. It covers the obstruction. A fence is not an obstruction when it marks a boundary. Lydia arrived behind Grant. Her eyes went to the blue stamp. Grant, she said, we should wait. We are not waiting because a handyman found a copier. Marcus did not correct him. His phone buzzed. Naomi's face appeared from a bus station. Dad, why is there tape on the gate? Stay on, he said. Tyler shifted. I was told to clear the panels from that post to the birch. By whom? The applicant. The applicant owns across the road. Grant pointed. Show him the attachment. Tyler unrolled the plan on Marcus's hood. The paper flapped, smelling of wet ink. A red line crossed the south fence. Marcus laid his stamped copy beside it. That parcel number was changed. Tyler bent closer. This one says G. Mine is C. Caleb wiped rain from his cheek. Boss, that's not the same. Grant snapped. You are paid to work, not interpret. From the phone, Naomi said, Dad, who said that? Marcus turned the screen down. A neighbor. I heard him. Grant stepped nearer. Maybe your daughter can explain why you keep a rotting fence when every home on this road would improve. Marcus touched the tape on the mailbox. That box has my wife's name under the paint. For half a breath, no one moved. Wind dragged the plastic strip over the raised letters. G. Hale. Lydia looked away first. Tyler lowered the post puller. I'm pausing until the county clears it. Grant rounded on him. You pause and I cancel the contract. Then cancel it. A cruiser came over the rise. Lieutenant Brennan parked half on the shoulder, half in Marcus's grass. Grant spread his hands. He's blocking access again. Marcus held up the stamped page. Lieutenant, this permit doesn't authorize work on my parcel. Brennan did not take it. We already discussed interference. We haven't discussed evidence. Evidence belongs in court, not on a roadside. Caleb slid his phone from his pocket. Brennan glanced over. Put that away. Caleb lowered it, but the lens faced his jacket opening. Naomi's voice came thin from Marcus's phone. Dad? Marcus picked it up. Rain dotted the glass. I'm here. Brennan moved between him and the workers. Step behind the tape. It's across my gate. Step behind it. Marcus folded the stamped copy and placed it under Grace's photograph on the truck hood so it would not blow away. The tape snapped again against the old mailbox while Tyler stood frozen, cutters still closed in his hand. Open the folder, Marcus said, holding it so rain would not smear the stamp. Lieutenant Brennan looked at the envelope as if it were trash on the shoulder. I've seen enough papers this morning. You haven't seen mine. Grant Whitcomb laughed from the road. Everybody has a folder when they want to delay progress. Progress doesn't usually need a patrol car, Marcus said. More neighbors had drifted out. Mr. Larkin stood behind trash cans. Mrs. Bell had left her mailbox, slippers dark from wet grass. Tyler held the bolt cutters by his leg. Lieutenant, if parcel numbers don't match, we should wait. Brennan turned. You take legal advice from homeowners now? No, I take risks seriously. The lake wind moved through the broken tape with a plastic hiss. Marcus's stamped copy stayed under Grace's photo on the hood. The envelope in his hand shook when rain found the seam. Mrs. Bell, he called. How long has that fence been on this line? Grant snapped. Don't drag her into this. Evelyn Bell lifted her chin. Long before your porch had lights. Brennan's jaw tightened. Ma'am, this is an active work area. It was a quiet road until you made it one. Nobody laughed. Marcus offered the envelope. The county stamped the review at 8:19. The permit lists 14-7G. My property is 14-7C. Read it aloud. Brennan took it, but did not open the flap. He held it away from his uniform. You're creating a disturbance. I'm asking you to verify. You are obstructing a permitted crew. Then the permit should survive one sentence. Caleb Dunn's hand moved near his work jacket pocket. His face had gone careful. Tyler shifted between Caleb and Brennan. Lydia walked to the truck. Rain dotted her glasses. She picked up the copy under Grace's photo. Lydia, Grant said. 1 minute. She scanned the top page. Her thumb stopped on the old survey signature, where Grace Hale's blue initials sat beside Marcus's. You recognize it? Marcus asked. She lowered the paper. This is from the original shoreline drainage agreement. Grant crossed fast. That has nothing to do with today. It might. It doesn't. Brennan shoved the unopened envelope back toward Marcus. Take this to the county. We're done here. The corner slipped from Marcus's fingers. The folder struck the gravel, bounced once, and slid into the muddy rut beside the cruiser tire. Brown water soaked into the stamped page. The sound was small. It made everyone look. Naomi's voice crackled from the phone. Dad, what fell? Marcus picked up the folder. Mud streaked his sleeve as he wiped the paper. The blue stamp blurred at one corner. That is public record, he said. That is mud, Grant said. Mrs. Bell took one step forward. Wade, read the paper. Brennan stared until she stopped. Tyler set the bolt cutters on the ground. My crew is paused. Grant pointed at him. Your crew is fired if that fence stands another hour. Then fire us in writing. Lydia still held the copy against her coat. Marcus saw her fold the page at Grace's initials. Brennan stepped between Marcus and the gate. Last warning. Move away from the work area. This is my gate, Marcus said. Static scratched from Brennan's radio, and his hand closed around Marcus's wrist. Brennan's fingers locked around Marcus's wrist before the radio finished hissing. Hands behind your back. Marcus did not pull away. For asking you to read a document? For refusing a lawful order. Mrs. Bell made a sound from the ditch. Tyler bent toward the cutters, then stopped. Lieutenant, Tyler said, my crew is paused. Not anymore, Grant said. Cut the panel. Caleb's boot scraped gravel. Boss. Now. The first cuff clicked shut. Cold metal closed around Marcus's wrist, bright and exact. His fingers opened once before he folded them still. Naomi's voice came from the phone on the truck hood. Dad? Answer me. Rain dotted the screen until her face blurred. I'm here, Marcus said. Brennan tightened the second cuff. Phone down. It is down. Then stop talking through it. Grant stepped nearer. This is what happens when people make a scene. Marcus looked at the broken tape on the mailbox. A scene usually needs an audience. The neighbors did not move. Lydia stood by the pickup with the damp copy, eyes moving from the parcel number to the cuffs. Wade, she said. Maybe wait. Not your call. That paper. Later. On the hood, Grace's photograph lay beside Naomi's glowing screen. A drop landed on Grace's smile and broke into smaller beads. Move the frame, Marcus said. Nobody answered. Please, Naomi said. Someone move it. Tyler took half a step. Grant cut in. Don't touch his property. Marcus breathed through wet cedar, exhaust, and cold lake air. Grant, you wanted the view. You have it. Don't take her picture, too. For once, Grant had no sentence ready. Caleb moved. He set his tool down, lifted the frame with both hands, wiped the glass on his sleeve, and placed it through the open window. Thank you, Marcus said. Caleb nodded without looking up. Brennan pulled Marcus toward the cruiser. Gravel shifted under Marcus's shoes, and the cuffs dragged his coat tight across his chest. "Dad, where are they taking you?" Naomi called. "Braddock Station," Marcus said. Brennan opened the rear door. "Enough." Marcus paused. "Naomi, call Dana Price." Static answered first. "You said never unless it mattered." Brennan pressed a hand between Marcus's shoulders. Marcus bent into the back seat, careful not to strike his head. The vinyl was cold through his trousers, and the cruiser smelled of plastic, old coffee, and rain. Outside, Tyler faced Grant. "I'm not cutting while he's in that car." "Then you are done here," Grant said. "Fine. You'll never work on this lake again. Maybe that's worth it." The cruiser door slammed. Naomi's voice became a thin buzz behind glass. From the back seat, Marcus saw Lydia fold the damp copy and slip it inside her coat instead of handing it to Grant. Mrs. Bell stood in the road now, slippers soaked, one hand raised too late. Brennan climbed behind the wheel. Marcus leaned forward as far as the cuffs allowed. "Your report should say the crew paused before I was placed in the car. My report will say you obstructed authorized work. Then spell my name correctly." The cruiser rolled over grass. Through the widening cut in the fence, the lake flashed, and the phone on the truck hood kept ringing with Naomi's name. The interview room had no window, only a vent pushing cold air over Marcus's wet sleeves. "Sit there," Brennan said. Marcus sat. The cuffs were off, but red rings circled both wrists. On the table lay a clear plastic bag with his wallet, keys, phone, and the folded envelope marked in Grace's handwriting. One corner of the old survey poked out. "I'd like to make a call." "When intake is done." "When is that?" "When I finish." The fluorescent light buzzed. Brennan typed hard enough to shake the laptop. Marcus caught words in the glass. Refused repeated orders. Safety concern. "That time is wrong." Brennan stopped. "What time?" "You wrote 9:04. The crew paused before you put me in the car." "You reading my screen?" "It is facing the glass." Brennan turned the laptop. "Stop correcting every sentence." "I'm correcting the ones that matter." At Cedar Lake, Naomi stood by the pickup, rain soaking her jacket. Caleb Dunn came from the broken gate. "Are you Naomi?" "Yes." "I recorded some of it." He held out his phone. "From the stamped paper. Before the cuffs." "Send it." "If I do, Grant's going to know." "He already knows you were there." Grant yelled at Tyler across the road. Lydia stood apart with a folded page under her coat. Caleb's voice dropped. "I didn't think they'd take him." "Nobody ever thinks that while they're watching." He swallowed and tapped send. Back at the station, Brennan zipped the plastic bag halfway. "My documents stay with me," Marcus said. "Not in processing." "I have not been processed." "You will be if you keep pushing." Grace had written Cedar File in blue ink. The paper smelled of cedar drawers. "What is inside that folder?" "Old paper." "Land records." "Same thing until a judge says otherwise." "Then let me call someone who can read them." A young officer stepped in. "Mrs. Bell is asking to give a statement." "Tell her to write it down and leave it," Brennan said. "She says she watched the whole thing." Marcus lifted his eyes. "Please record her statement." Brennan pointed at him. "You do not direct my office." "No, but your office will be asked why it refused a witness." The officer's pen stopped. Naomi sat in her car with the heater blowing damp air at her knees. Caleb's video shook against the steering wheel. Brennan refusing the envelope. Tyler saying the crew was paused. Grant ordering the cut. Marcus asking for Grace's photograph. Mrs. Bell knocked on the window. They told me to write something and go. Don't go. Naomi unlocked it. I should have spoken sooner. Speak now. Naomi searched her contacts until she found the name buried under old numbers. Dana Price. A woman answered. Dana Price. This is Naomi Hale, Marcus Hale's daughter. A chair moved. Where is your father? Braddock Station. They detained him while a crew cut our fence. What fence? The Cedar Lake House. Who signed the permit? I have a video, a wrong parcel number, and a witness they won't take. Send everything. Do not edit it. Do not post it. Naomi looked at the torn boards, shining with rain. Why did Dad say to call you only if it mattered? Dana's answer came flat and immediate. Because your father knows exactly where they hide shoreline files. Dana did not hang up after Naomi sent the files. Naomi heard the click of her hazard lights and Mrs. Bell breathing beside her. Then Dana said, Do you have permit number? Jenna stamped a review copy. Ask for upload history. Mrs. Bell clutched her statement. Is your father in trouble? Naomi looked toward the gap in the fence. Caleb stood near the gate while Grant paced. Not the kind they expected. At Braddock Station, Brennan returned to the interview room with a thinner voice and a paper cup of water. Mr. Hale, he said. Lieutenant? You listed no attorney. I asked for a call. You'll get one. When? Brennan set the cup down. Who is Dana Price? Someone who answers calls. She says she represents you. Then she does. The vent pushed cold air across the plastic bag. Grace's envelope trembled. Brennan pulled a chair out. She mentioned land actions. Consultant? No. What were you? A lawyer. County? Federal. The cup flexed. In what office? Marcus turned his marked wrists. The office that reviews what happens when local power forgets property rights belong to people without lake porches. Brennan stared at him. You should have identified yourself. I identified the parcel. Naomi's phone buzzed. Jenna had sent 3 images and 1 line. Amendment uploaded 11:42 p.m. No fee. User ID masked. Dana came back. Send the map, permit log, and Caleb's video in one thread. I have them. I'm calling the station. Do not let Grant touch that fence again. He's yelling at the crew. Record positions, tools, and boards still standing. Mrs. Bell whispered. Should I stand there? Naomi put the car in gear. No, you're riding with me. At the gate, Tyler had his toolbox closed. Grant stepped in front of him. You walk away, I sue you. Then sue me for not making a mistake. This is a permitted improvement. Caleb, phone low by his thigh, said. He got taken before anyone read the paper. Grant spun toward him. You want to join the unemployment line? Lydia said. Grant, stop. No. By dark, this fence is gone. Naomi stepped from the car, phone held chest high. Say that again. Grant's mouth stayed open, but no sound came. Inside the station, Brennan answered his desk phone with his back half-turned to Marcus. This is Lieutenant Brennan. Dana's voice filled the room. Release Marcus Hale or state the charge before I finish this sentence. Brennan lowered his tone. Ma'am, we have a local obstruction matter. You have a detained former federal attorney, a disputed parcel, a refused witness, and a crew still at the property. Your report time is contradicted by video. Brennan looked through the glass at Marcus. Dana continued. Ask your records officer what file number BCR-18-44 means. The silence changed. Even the vent seemed louder. Brennan covered the receiver. What is that file? Marcus lifted the paper cup and drank once. An old shoreline case. Against who? About people moving lines until the right owner got tired. Dana's voice returned. "Lieutenant, you have 5 minutes to decide whether this stays local." Outside, Grant looked from Naomi's phone to Lydia's folded page. Behind him, the cutters lay closed in the grass. "Open the cedar drawer," Dana said through Naomi's speaker. "If your father kept the drainage file, it won't be with tax bills." Naomi stood in the kitchen, with rain ticking against the window and mud drying on her shoes. Grace's photograph rested on the table, glass cleaned by Caleb's sleeve. The room smelled of coffee, wet wool, and sharp cedar. Mrs. Bell hovered by the stove. Grace kept letters in there. Naomi pulled the brass handle. The drawer stuck, then gave with a dry rasp. Inside were seed packets, a tape measure, and envelopes tied with blue thread. One was marked for the south line. "Read the outside first," Dana said. "Shoreline Drainage Agreement, 2004. Cedar line not to be moved without county hearing." Mrs. Bell sat down hard. "She stood by that fence with you on her hip." Naomi opened it. A note was clipped to the agreement. "If Marcus ever has to fight this alone, remind him he already did it once for everybody else." At the station, Marcus stood in the interview room doorway while Brennan argued at the desk. "You're released pending review," Brennan said. "Am I charged?" "Not at this time." "Then return my property." An officer brought the plastic bag. Marcus checked the wallet, keys, phone, and Grace's envelope. Brennan watched. "You could have said who you were." Marcus put the envelope inside his coat. "You could have read who I owned." "That isn't how this works." "It is exactly how land works." Outside, Diana Price stepped from a county sedan, silver curls pulled back, navy coat buttoned crooked. Her eyes went to his wrists. "You all right?" "Yes." "No, but you can say that later." Naomi found Grace's letter. Marcus closed his eyes for one beat. Did she read it? She had to. They drove back without music. Dana spoke into her phone while wet pines passed. "Preserve the log. Notify council." At Cedar Lake, Naomi waited with Mrs. Bell and Caleb. Tyler's truck was gone. Grant stood by his driveway. Lydia remained beside the broken fence, holding the folded page like it had gained weight. Naomi crossed the gravel fast, then stopped before touching him. "Your wrists. They'll fade." "That's not the point." "No." She handed him the letter. He did not open it. He ran his thumb over Grace's handwriting. Mrs. Bell set a shoebox on the pickup hood. "I kept pictures. I don't know why." "Because you don't throw away proof," Dana said. Old photographs curled at the corners. The fence before the Whitcomb porch. Grace near the cedars. Marcus younger, holding Naomi while survey stakes stood bright behind them. Caleb held out his phone. "I have the full video. It caught Grant telling Brennan to finish before dark." Donna looked at Marcus. "With the letter and photos, this is no longer a roadside dispute." Grant crossed the road. "This has gone far enough." Marcus placed Grace's letter beside the first photograph. "It went far enough when you cut the first board." Lydia spoke quietly. "Grant, they have the original agreement. Then they can bring it to a hearing." Dana lifted her phone. "Good. We're requesting one." Grace's photograph caught pale sun, and beneath it the old fence line appeared in 3 pictures, where the broken posts still bled rainwater into the grass. The county chamber smelled of raincoats and wood when Marcus stepped inside. Neighbors filled the back rows and stood along the wall, shoes squeaking on the polished floor. Grant Whitcomb sat in front with Lydia beside him, folder closed on her knees. Council Chair Martin Cho tapped the microphone. "This session reviews a shoreline permit and a police response," he said. "We will keep order." Donna Price leaned toward Marcus. Let them talk first. I know. Grant stood before he was called. Chairman, this is a paperwork misunderstanding. We applied for a view improvement. Mr. Hale became confrontational. Lieutenant Brennan maintained safety. Mrs. Bell's cane clicked once. Cho looked over his glasses. Mr. Whitcomb, wait until recognized. Nora King, a reporter with copper hair, watched from the back. Inspector Helen Marsh set enlarged copies on an easel, the permit page, Marcus's stamped review, and a still from Caleb's video. The application lists 14-7G, Marsh said. The fence in the attachment sits on 14-7C. Cho turned to Brennan. Did you verify that before detaining Mr. Hale? Brennan's throat moved. I relied on the permit presented. Did you read the parcel number? Not fully, sir. A murmur moved through the room. Caleb Dunn came forward, cap in both hands. I work demolition, not law. Mr. Hale kept asking them to read the paper. He didn't shove anybody. He didn't yell. Grant turned. You were fired for refusing work. That's true, Caleb said. What did you see? Cho asked. A man cuffed after the job was already paused. Dana pressed play. Caleb's video filled the speakers with rain, wind, and Grant's voice. By dark, this fence is gone. Mrs. Bell walked to the microphone, one hand on her cane, the other holding an old photograph. That fence was Grace Hale's line, she said. I watched them set the cedars. I heard Mr. Whitcomb talk about investors. Cho asked, Did Mr. Hale threaten anyone? No. She turned toward Marcus. He kept giving everyone a chance to do right. Donna placed Grace's letter before the council. Paper rasped against the microphone base. This agreement protected drainage and public runoff, she said. Moving that line without hearing could affect more than one parcel. Cho looked at Marcus. Mr. Hale, you may speak. Marcus adjusted the microphone with 2 fingers. The metal clicked. Naomi stood against the wall. I asked for one thing, Marcus said. Read the number. No one interrupted. My wife kept that fence because water does not care who can afford better windows. If this happened to me with records, video, and witnesses, what happens to the person who only has a mailbox and a memory? Grant rose halfway. That is emotional framing. Marcus turned his head. It is a boundary. Nora's pen stopped. Cho closed the folder before him. All work remains suspended. The permit goes to review. The police response will be examined. Brennan's chair scraped. Lydia slid one folded call log toward Dana. You should have this before anyone edits anything else. Grant whispered. Lydia. She did not look at him. No more wet rings over numbers. Marcus watched the paper cross the table. In the corner, Nora King lifted her phone to make a quiet call. Inspector Helen Marsh lifted Lydia's call log with tweezers. Where did this come from? She asked. My home printer, Lydia said. Grant's attorney leaned in. It's incomplete. That is why we compare it. The county annex room was colder than the chamber. Fluorescent light buzzed over body cam stills and call records. On the monitor, Brennan's camera froze on Marcus holding the damp envelope. Naomi sat beside her father, close enough to see red rings around his wrists. Marsh pressed play. Rain scratched through the speakers. Marcus's recorded voice said, Read the parcel number. Brennan's answer followed. You're creating a disturbance. Marsh turned to Brennan. He wore a gray jacket. At this moment, what safety concern required cuffs? The situation was escalating. From whom? From the roadside environment. That is not a person. Grant leaned forward. My crew was delayed. Delay is not danger. A records technician entered with printouts. Original application, September 29th. Amendment, October 16th, 11:42 p.m. Dana asked, User? Masked through administrative override. Jenna stood by the door. No fee entry came through the counter. Marsh circled the line in red. The marker squeaked. Then it did not pass public intake. Brennan glanced at Grant. Marcus saw it. Naomi saw Marcus see it. Marsh brought up another still. The plastic bag from the station. Grace's envelope trapped inside. Why were land records treated as personal property instead of evidence? They weren't relevant to detention. Marcus spoke for the first time. They were the reason. The room held the sentence. Marsh wrote it down. Lydia's voice came thin. Grant wanted the view finished before the investor walkthrough. Her attorney touched her sleeve. Mrs. Whitcomb? No. He said the fence made the property look trapped. I called Wade because Grant said Wade already understood the problem. Grant turned red. You handle permits. I handle filings, not numbers changed after midnight. The red marker stopped. Marsh asked, Who changed it? Lydia pressed her palms flat. Her ring tapped the table. I don't know who typed it. I know who wanted it. Grant stood. This is absurd. Council Chair Cho looked up. Sit down. Grant sat. Dana slid an old photograph across the table. Fence line, 2004. Same cedar posts. Same drainage notation. Marsh compared it to the permit attachment. The current drawing removes the notation. Jenna whispered. The archive map still has it. Then a public restriction vanished from the working copy. Brennan exhaled. I didn't know that. Marcus looked at him. You didn't ask. The words were quiet, but Naomi felt them in her chest. Her father did not touch his wrists or look pleased. He sat as he had after Grace died, folding a paper napkin into straight edges because it was the only thing on the table he could still control. Marsh closed the file. The permit remains suspended. Brennan's detention report is provisionally inaccurate. Prior shoreline calls under his response history will be reviewed. Brennan's chair creaked. What now? Naomi asked Dana. Donna gathered the red-marked pages. Now they learn how many times this was not the first time. Grant Whitcomb's investor call lasted 4 minutes, and the last word came from the speaker in his kitchen. We're withdrawing. Rain tapped the glass doors. Lydia stood at the island with both hands around an untouched mug. You can't do that over allegations, Grant said. They are county findings now, the voice replied. A suspended permit, a detained owner, and disputed land. Our board won't walk into that. The property value is exactly why we're leaving. The line died. Across the road, the fence still stood in pieces, not gone enough to give him the view, not whole enough to hide what he had done. Marcus held a cedar board while Caleb set the screws. The drill whined. Fresh wood smelled sharp in wet air. You don't have to help, Marcus said. I know. You have work to find. This is work I need to finish. Caleb wiped sawdust from his sleeve. Tyler got a school repair job. Said he should have stopped sooner. He stopped. Not soon enough. Sooner than most. Naomi came down the path with 2 paper cups. Coffee. Mrs. Bell made it strong enough to strip paint. Caleb tried a sip. She's dangerous. At noon, Nora King's article appeared on Naomi's phone. It listed times, parcel numbers, and Marcus's line. Read the number. Naomi read softly. Prior land dispute responses involving Lieutenant Brennan are under review. Caleb looked up. Other people? It means they get a door opened, Marcus said. And Brennan? Administrative leave pending discipline. Marcus rested the drill on the post. That is a process, not an ending. At the Whitcomb gate, Lydia stood alone in a raincoat, a flat envelope under her arm. Naomi lowered her voice. "Do you want me to stay?" "Yes." Lydia crossed slowly. Rain pulled hair against her cheek. "I found something in our closing file," she said. Marcus stayed behind the half-repaired gate. "Give it to Dana." "I already copied it for her." She slid out a curled photograph. Grace stood beside the cedar posts in 2004, one hand on a survey stake, Naomi small on Marcus's hip. Behind them, the shoreline swale ran clear toward the lake. "I should have brought this to the hearing," Lydia said. Naomi reached, then stopped. "Why didn't you?" Lydia's mouth tightened. "Because I was asking what it would cost us." "And now?" "Now I know." Grant appeared on his porch. "Lydia, come inside." She did not turn. "No." His voice hardened. "Now." Mrs. Bell opened her door. Lydia pushed the photograph through the gap between two new boards. Marcus took it by the corner. "I'm not asking you to forgive me," she said. "I didn't hear you ask." Naomi inhaled sharply. Lydia nodded once. "The original map is in a safe deposit box. I'll sign a release." "Do that today," Marcus said. Grant stepped off his porch. "You're handing them private documents." Marcus placed the photograph inside Grace's envelope. "No, she is returning public truth." Lydia looked at the gate latch Marcus had not opened. Brennan's name flashed on Naomi's phone. Suspension confirmed. Review expanded. Grant stopped at the road, blocked by the line he had tried to erase. Marcus lowered the latch into place. The click was soft, lost under the rain, but every face on the road heard it. At 9:30 a.m., the county training room filled with the scrape of chairs and the smell of burned coffee. Marcus stood near the back wall. Naomi had offered to come, but he had asked her to finish the cedar mulch at home. Dana Price sat beside Captain Rhonda Ellis, her silver badge clipped to a Navy jacket. "We begin with one rule," Ellis said. "No detention in a property dispute until the parcel, permit, and immediate safety issue are verified." A young officer raised his hand. "What if the crew has paperwork?" "Then you read it." The projector clicked. Caleb's video appeared without names. Rain, the gate, Marcus asking for the parcel number. The snap of cutters filled the room. Brennan sat in the last row in civilian clothes, hands folded between his knees. Ellis paused the video at Grace's envelope in Marcus's hand. "This is where the stop should have happened. Not the fence. The officer." No one spoke. Outside, Nora King waited near the vending machines. Grant Whitcomb had not come. Lydia had signed the release at 8:05, and the drainage line sat in the public archive. Dana slid a document to Marcus. Automatic work pause when parcel records conflict. Mandatory witness intake. Supervisor review before removal from disputed property. Marcus read each line. Add photographs. Already there. Body cam must show the permit. Also there. Ellis approached. "Mr. Hale, I'd like you to say a few words." "No." Her brows lifted. He handed the pages back. "The rule should not depend on my voice." Ellis studied him, then nodded. "Fair." During the break, Brennan came into the hallway. The vending machine hummed between them. "Mr. Hale." Marcus turned. "I saw the expanded review list." "So did I. There were calls I handled too fast." Marcus waited. Brennan looked through the glass at the officers returning to their seats. "I thought I was keeping rich people from fighting each other." "You were choosing who had to prove they belonged." Brennan's mouth moved once. "I'm under discipline. Maybe termination. That is between you and the county." And whoever I put in a car because I didn't want to read. Marcus did not answer. At Cedar Lake, Naomi pressed mulch around the young cedars. Mrs. Bell held a thermos and pointed with her cane. Not too close. Roots need air. Naomi laughed. You supervise like my grandmother. I learned from your mother. Wind off the lake carried sawdust. Naomi brushed soil from a small metal plate. Grace Hale, Cedar Line, 2004. The old screws lay in her palm, darkened but straight. When Marcus returned near sunset, the training binder sat on the passenger seat. He carried the plate to the fence, where Naomi held the screwdriver. New screws? She asked. These know the wood. He set the plate against the cedar board. The first old screw turned slowly, catching with a faint groan. Across the road, Lydia's porch lights stayed off. The lake showed only in strips between the boards. Naomi tightened the last screw. Mom would have corrected the spacing. She still can. Mrs. Bell stepped back from the gate. Looks right to me. Marcus touched the edge of the plate once and let his hand fall. Behind him, a worker folded the red and white tape into a trash bag. 3 months later, the county report arrived in a plain envelope, thin enough to look harmless. Naomi found it in the green mailbox Grace had painted, the one Marcus had sanded smooth after the tape tore its edge. Frost silvered the grass along the fence. The young cedars stood in a crooked line. "Dad," she called. "It's here." Marcus came from the shed carrying a hand rake. He did not open the envelope at the gate. He walked it to the kitchen, set it beside Grace's photograph, and warmed his hands around a mug before touching the seal. Nora King's article had prepared the town for most of it. The public version listed the findings. The permit was voided. The amendment had bypassed intake, and Braddock officers now had to verify parcel numbers, record disputed documents, and pause civil work before using detention as a shortcut. Naomi read the last page aloud. Lieutenant Wade Brennan separated from service after disciplinary review. Prior shoreline calls referred for audit. Marcus nodded once. Grant Whitcomb's development deal had collapsed. The house across the road stayed dark most evenings, porch furniture covered, lake-facing windows reflecting only sky. Lydia moved into a smaller rental while she cooperated with the audit. No speech repaired what she hid, but the maps she released helped 3 families challenge old view improvements. At noon, Caleb Dunn drove up in a dented work truck. Tyler followed with lumber strapped down. "Mrs. Bell said you needed cedar stakes," Caleb said. Mrs. Bell appeared from the side path with a pie wrapped in a towel. I said he would pretend he didn't. Tyler grinned. "We're learning the local language." Marcus took the bundle from them. "You're charging me?" "Already paid," Caleb said. "County hired us for fence restoration on disputed lines. New program." Naomi looked at her father. "That was your idea." "One of Dana's better sentences," he said. In January, the training room opened to residents. Captain Ellis held up a laminated card officers now carried in their cars. Read the number. Record the document. Call a supervisor. Brennan sat in the back row without a uniform, waiting to give a required statement to the oversight panel. He did not look at Marcus until the meeting ended. "I was wrong at the fence," Brennan said. Marcus slipped his gloves into his coat pocket. "Yes. I'm reviewing the old calls with them. Do it carefully." That was all Marcus gave him. By spring, letters began arriving from other lake towns and farm roads. Some came typed, some in pencil, some with photographs of fences, ditches, mailboxes, and barns standing where money wanted them gone. Nora wrote a follow-up about the county rule spreading to neighboring jurisdictions. Jenna Ortiz was promoted to record supervisor after the audit praised her time-stamped copy. Donna called every Tuesday, pretending she only wanted updates on the Cedars. One quiet evening, Naomi found Marcus by the restored gate. He had placed Grace's old photograph inside a new weatherproof frame on the porch, where it faced the fence instead of the lake. "You moved her," Naomi said. "She watched the water long enough." The sun slid behind the cedars. Across the road, no one stood measuring the view. Mrs. Bell's wind chimes rang once. Marcus opened the gate and left it unlatched. The young cedars moved in the lake wind. If this story reminded you of a time when someone's home, voice, or dignity was dismissed, share it in the comments. Stories like this matter because silence is often where unfair systems grow strongest. Share this with someone who believes justice should not depend on money, status, or who speaks the loudest in the room. And subscribe for more stories about quiet resilience, hard-earned truth, and the changes that happen when one person refuses to let power erase the facts. Every story here is fictional, but the questions behind them are real. Who gets believed? Who gets protected? And what changes when someone finally reads the number?